Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Man, I really starting to really like that music intro in the morning. Well, welcome to the Mic Drop Show. This is where we talk real, live, uncensored real estate, real freedom, and real results. And I'm Mike Morawski. Hey, 30 years in the real estate business. That's over 3 decades. I'm an investor. I'm an author. I'm a coach. I've owned and operated over 8,000 multifamily apartments across multiple states. I've seen wins and I've seen losses. And I use those lessons to build businesses that last for real estate investors. And I'm glad that you're here this morning. Hey, if somebody told you about the show, thank them. Grab your coffee, buckle up. You're in for a ride this morning. We're going to talk about a few different things. Sometimes I have a guest on the show. Sometimes it's just me. This morning, it's just me and my LA Dodgers hat. So for my White Sox fans back in Chicago, I have become a LA Dodgers fan. Not that I never was before, but what a great World Series that was this year. Hey, I hope that you are, really focused on your real estate business. If you're new to the real estate business and you're looking to get involved, you're looking to get started, boy, I couldn't think of a better time in history to start getting involved in real estate. For 3 decades, I have always said, if I could just get in just before the market changes, not after the markets change. If you wait and you wait for the news and mainstream media and CNN and Fox to tell you that the market has changed, you've typically missed about 2 years of that market change. Markets are cyclical, right? We go up, we go down, up for 8 to 10 years, down for 8 to 10 years. We're over 4 years into the downside, and this is going to be a short cycle. And I love that because that's giving us more of an opportunity. There's a buying edge out there. There's creative financing edge out there. There's a financing edge out there today. If you look at the fundamentals and you see where the fundamentals are, everything from GDP and unemployment, you look at the numbers, you look at what's happening with interest rates and where the economy's at today. You know what? We are right on the verge. We are not years from a change. We are days, weeks, months from a change. And, positioning yourself today, whether you're a new investor or an existing investor, to get involved, whether you're going to get in real estate actively and roll your sleeves up, get your hands dirty, take care of the day-to-day activities, or whether you're going to be a passive investor, let somebody else do all of that and you receive mailbox money. Either way, your timing is perfect right now. I always say if you have the little bit of the wind at your back, it's going to help push you, give you some momentum. And momentum is what we all want to create. Well, listen, this morning, I'm going to talk about 3 different questions, 3 different topics, all really kind of on the same topic, but we're going to talk about creative financing. We're going to talk about, little and no money down strategies, and I did a master class last week on Saturday morning. We had a great turnout for that number of people. And I talked about how to buy real estate with little or no money down. And what's really funny is the number of questions I've gotten before that class and after that class just on that topic. And does it work? Is it real? Can you really do this? And, as I said, I've owned and operated over 8,000 multifamily units. I've owned a couple hundred single family properties that we've fixed and flipped and bought and hold and fixed up and held. And, so I have a little bit of experience over 3 decades. As I said in the beginning, I've had some great wins and I've had some great losses as well. But you know what? Those losses are just, what can you learn from that, right? But here's one of the questions that came in this week. How do you buy with little or no money down without lying to yourself or a lender? And I really thought that was a great question. Well, first of all, The first part of that, and I want to kind of chunk this out a little bit. The first part of that, without lying to yourself, first of all, you have to believe that it's possible, right? Our mindset really dictates so much of what we do and the direction that we go in. Our mindset really helps us to achieve and accomplish what we want to achieve and accomplish. Napoleon Hill said, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, right? And I don't know if you've ever read the book Think and Grow Rich, but one of the greatest books ever written. And, it's a book that I've read multiple times over and over again, and would encourage you, if you haven't read it, to read it. And, there's a lot of principles in there, but, our mindset is so important. So, is it possible to buy real estate with little or no money down? Absolutely, it is. I bought real estate with zero money down, $1,000, and even, only a couple of $100,000. I've raised capital to do that. I've done it with my own capital. I've done it with partners, joint ventures, syndications, but here's what's interesting. I have bought everything from single family properties to 400 unit apartment complexes with little or no money down. The systems work, and really I teach one system. And, I taught this system in my master class over the weekend. And, there's a lot of different strategies. You have land contract, you have owner financing, you have lease to own, you have sub two, you have, no money down deals. And all of those kind of all get encompassed in this one technique that I teach. And, again, I just go back to your mindset. If you can believe it, if you can see it and visualize it, and you have a strong enough why you want to do it, you can do it. The other part around that is that you want to create deals that are win-win deals. You don't want to, if you walk away from a negotiations table with a seller or a buyer, if you're on the sell side, and you feel like you really got the upper end, did you really win? If you walk away and you feel like you didn't get the upper end, or you didn't get a good deal, did you really win? I always say, you got to create these deals, these creative structures with for little or no money down, a win-win situation. I'd rather give the seller the full price for the property that the seller wants if I get great terms. Terms are really what help you structure and dictate one of these deals. And give me good terms, and you can have the price that you want. And what do those terms look like? Well, every deal is different. So every deal I've ever done has been different in that strategy. And how do you do it without, lying to a lender? I love that, because we don't want to lie to the lenders. We want to make sure that we're being straightforward on board, and making sure that we're, being creative, but that we're staying within legal boundaries, right? Where we're not lying to that lender. And, the system that I use, the technique that I use is one that really allows you the flexibility. So much about creative real estate purchasing is about control over ownership. How do you control that asset? How do you control that piece of real estate? And you don't necessarily have to have, buy it or have a loan on it in order to do that. So I teach that. I taught it Saturday in my master class, and I have another master class. If you're somebody that's interested in getting into real estate, if you're somebody who's in real estate and looking for another tool for your toolbox, you know what? I'm doing another master class on December 9th. It's going to be at 5:00 Central Time. If you want information and details on that, reach out, shoot me a DM, put a comment in the comments here this morning, send me an email, call me on the phone, whatever. I'm accessible. LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you're at. And I hope you're following us. Like our content. We're always bringing out new and exciting content, new guests on our podcast, bringing you information that's going to help you accelerate your real estate career. So remember, next masterclass is going to be on December 9th. And this one, I'm guessing, will be bigger and better than the last one. And the last one was a great event. So the next question that I got is no cash. How do I bring, if I don't have any cash to buy, this person is asking, how do I bring value to a partner without posturing? Well, first of all, again, I want to say mindset, right? What is your value? Do you know what your value is? We all have an intrinsic value. And what is it? Hey, you might be a great underwriter. You might be a great capital raiser. You might be a great negotiator or a deal finder. I have a partner who is, does all the compliance stuff behind the scenes in our business and, doesn't raise capital, doesn't do anything else. But boy, oh boy, is she good with compliance and with numbers and bookkeeping and marketing. And those are, her intrinsic values. And that's what she brings to the table. I love building relationships. I love underwriting. I love playing with the numbers. I like creating creative structures around deals and how do we buy deals. We bought a 65 unit apartment complex a little more than a year ago where, basically no money down. I'm going to call it little money down. And we took control of a $4 million asset for below market value with the owner holding a note on that property for $1 million with no interest and no payments for 10 years. It was a win-win creative deal, had great terms, and we brought a lot of value. What was our intrinsic value? Well, we brought, asset management skills. We brought property management skills. We brought capital to do major repairs that needed to be done. We brought investors, so we raised capital to do that. So there were a lot of things that went into it. So I would say to you, whether you're on the single family side, whether you're on the multifamily side, maybe you're doing a combination of both, sit down and write out all the processes that you have in, finding, acquiring, buying, closing, due diligence, managing an asset. And what's everything that goes into that? And then take a look at what you're really good at. Now, I've taught a couple of people in my coaching program how to underwrite very efficiently. I have one guy in particular that came to me, joined my Inner Circle program, went and just focused on the underwriting. He loved math. He loved numbers, loved spreadsheets. And he took my underwriting tool, took all of the sessions on underwriting, learned how to do it, went out and built relationships, which is another piece that I teach, built those relationships with brokers, started underwriting deals, bringing them to me. And today he's underwriting for a national builder developer because he learned these systems and processes. He figured out what his intrinsic value was, what he could bring to the table for somebody else. And he went out and he created his own environment. Now, anybody can do that. You can do that on your own. You just understand what you're good at and bring that to another group of partners that are good at some of the other things. So, you don't have to posture around it. It's a belief system that you have within yourself, that you put into yourself, that your mindset, the mindset you have helps you get there. So, hey, we all are good at something. Some of us are better at other things. Some of us are good at multiple things, not to brag here and not to posture here, but, there's a lot of moving parts in the real estate business, in the multifamily business. And, I know how to do all those things, a lot of them, but there's some things that I excel even better at. and the underwriting, at, acquisitions, at relationships. And those are the things that I could bring to the table. And I'd bring, I've partnered with a number of my coaching clients on multifamily deals because they bring other things to the table, right? Other things that I'm not as good at. So, just take a look at who you are, where you're at. You know what you're good at and what you like and what you enjoy. And it's like I buy real estate in markets that it doesn't snow because, I don't like snow and I don't like shoveling snow. So there's where the intrinsic value is in that, right? So just think it through for yourself. I thought that was a great question, though. Hey, third question this morning, and I really like this question, but this was somebody who was on the master class last week. And, it was kind of an afterthought. What are the top red flags that trigger a hard pass on a creative deal? So let's say that you're out, putting together a creative financing deal. And the top red flag for me is a seller that absolutely needs to win. This is the biggest red flag for me. And I really have two of them. I'm going to share both of them, but the first one is the seller just absolutely needs to win. He's got no room for anybody else getting anything. So even when you, during negotiations, you give that seller something, say that you give him his full price, but he still wants better terms or shorter terms or a higher interest rate. And he doesn't want to give anything back. For me, if a seller wants to fight with me too much, it's a hard pass for me. And the reason for that is because I firmly believe that in a creative financing deal, the seller has a problem and you are solving that problem for the seller. Right. So this is a whole mindset shift, right? You have to think differently about how you're approaching these situations. The seller has a problem. You need to find out what that seller's problem is, and you solve the seller's problem. And that's how you get creative deals done. So think that through. The other thing that it's a hard pass for me on is if the seller, if I'm buying a multifamily deal and I'm doing creative financing, if the seller is not providing enough information, if I don't have enough detail, if I don't have enough data, and I can't formulate a story, or I can't formulate an exit plan, or formulate an outcome, to hit a profitability margin, that's a red flag for me. I'm going to pass on that also. So there's a couple of real number one triggers that cause me to hard pass on deals. But if I can be in a win-win situation, I'm going to work with that seller. That seller is going to love what I have to offer, and we're going to really create a great deal together. Help that seller with the pain that they're in. So. Hey, listen, that's a wrap for this morning. I am super glad that you've been here this morning. I think that, I want to kind of always be able to give golden nuggets. I want to give opportunities. I want to help you advance in your real estate career, your real estate portfolio. So, as I said, that's it for this morning. Multifamily real estate rewards systems, people, and principles. Not shiny deals, not shiny objects, but rewards people who've got great systems in place, people who know what they're doing, and great principles around that. For more of this, follow or subscribe. We're here every Wednesday morning doing the Mic Drop Show. I'm glad that you were here this morning with us. Tell somebody about the show. Share this with an operator or somebody new going into business that's looking for an edge or looking to get started. Drop your questions, comments, DM me. Let me know. I get your questions answered on the upcoming shows. Hey, if you're somebody who'd be a great guest on this show, love to have you on. So reach out, or if you know somebody who'd be a great guest, let me know. I'm going to feature the best of the best on the Mic Drop Show. So stay disciplined, stay focused, keep stacking doors for yourself, and keep accelerating. Listen, if you want to come to that next masterclass on December 9th, just reach out. We'll get you the registration link, get you signed up. It's a free class. And we are going to cover, little or no money down strategies, techniques, and the one system that I use that works time after time and is priceless. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. See you next week. If I can be of help, don't hesitate to reach out.